So welcome to today's webinar on authenticity and confidence in the workplace. That's with myself, Laura Morrison of the GameChanger Consultancy. So we're going to cover today what is authenticity, why it matters in business, what makes you different and how to apply it. Moving from fear to confidence, letting you shine, accepting unique, and then a little bit about what next and how you may apply it moving forward in your career, whether you're working for somebody else or running your own business. I know that we have a mix of participants on the call today, and let's begin. So what is authenticity? I just want you to consider, how do you recognise if somebody is authentic? And think about how you feel in the presence of somebody who embodies authenticity, how your working relationships are with those people, how you feel about working with them, and particularly as leaders, what does authentic leadership feel like for you as a leader when you're leading others, or when you're the person being directed? I don't know about you, but I find I give of my best when I'm working with people who embody authenticity and are bold in expressing opinions, able to share, able to be truly who they are in the workplace. I believe it gives us a lot of richness and benefits us by creating better quality conversations, therefore better quality decisions within the work environment. So why is it important in business? I think in my thoughts around this and researching for this webinar and through my conversations with various women and men in the business world, in corporate environments, the thing that comes through is it's trust. Trust both in teams internally and externally with external clients. Authenticity enables us to have honest but respectful conversations with our peers, with our colleagues, and both upwards and downwards, depending on the hierarchy in the organisation. Authenticity for you personally in the workplace is also about your reputation and brand. So being known for delivering the things that you're best at, being known for actually standing for the things that you believe in business. And I think that that's very, very important. To create good teams means that we need to be clear in our communication. One of the things that I did a substantial piece of research on last year was internal politics within the workplace. And within all workplaces there are agendas. However, it's better when agendas are not hidden. And when they're understood openly, we can decide and we can gravitate towards the working teams that are creating the things that allow us to use our talents to full effect. The other thing that's important with authenticity is what you see is what you get, a degree of reliability within business. Consistency is very important. It's important both from a service perspective and from a sales perspective. One of the brands that I love to use as an example for this is John Lewis. People No, they fully understand, because of the brand values and the clear communication of those, exactly what the company stands for, exactly how they're going to be serviced, and if they have a problem, that it's going to be resolved in a certain way. Now, if we apply that to ourselves within business, within your own working life, you'll have examples of people where you know that you could count on that person within a team to be able to help you, support you, to deliver a particular project. And this is what we mean by personal brand, what somebody is known for. The other reason that authenticity is important is your own career satisfaction and fulfillment. I think it's very difficult for people if they're in a working environment where they're being asked to conform to a set of values that don't fit their personal values. That creates cognitive dissonance. It creates a feeling of discomfort, which can, lead to things like underperformance, things like feeling demotivated, health issues. Whereas if we're able to fully express who we are and to be authentic within the working environment, that's much more beneficial to us, to our health, and actually to getting the best out of people and getting the best performance from teams. So one of the things that you can try within your own workplace is to do some listening exercise on engaged communication. I love this quote from Nancy Klein, the book Time to Think. The quality of a person's attention determines the quality of other people's thinking. And something that you can do with your peers, perhaps, if you've got a team meeting situation, or if you're working with somebody as an accountability partner or reverse mentoring to enhance your personal development, is just to do a short listening exercise where you give 5 minutes to that person and you just listen with full attention, without interruption, but paying full attention using eye contact, which can be incredibly powerful for the other person. And if they've got an issue, don't jump in with a solution. Allow them to keep talking. If you can extend it to 10 minutes, even better. Don't offer an opinion, just pure listening and attention. And you'd be surprised at what that brings up and what you can discover about somebody else and who they are by giving them that quality attention and focus. And that's something that's key to understanding with co-workers what it is that's unique about each of us and where our best skills are, what challenges we face. So practically, in terms of your business life, your career, I'd like you now to think about and perhaps jot down with a pen and paper, in roles you have held, what have you enjoyed most? What do others see as your strong points? What is the achievement that you're most proud of in your working life? And why was that the case? And what does this tell you about your strengths and values? And then consider, how does who you are at work and in the working environment or business environment that you're in compare with who you really are when you're off duty? And what are the similarities and differences? If there are differences, something you may want to consider is how you can begin to narrow that gap and be more of who you are within the workplace. And thinking back to using those questions I've just taken you through, they may be prompts that you choose to use in listening exercises with a peer. And to reflect on, as you do those listening exercises and build that listening muscle, as it were, how it feels to be listened to with full attention. How it feels to listen with full attention. How it feels to receive appreciative feedback from your peer at the end of that exercise. And how it would feel to give appreciative feedback. So not feedback where we're looking for a solution or looking to judge what the other person said or looking to validate our own interpretation of that, just purely to appreciate what they are showing you about the gifts that they bring. And when you've had an opportunity to practice this with somebody, to also think about whether you observe anything else. And I promise you, if you practice this regularly and begin to use it as part of your meetings, part of your conversations with customers, with suppliers, you will find it is an exercise and that quality of listening begins to improve and begins to really change relationships, change the speed with which you are able to achieve outcomes, and increases your own confidence in relating personally with people. When you've had the chance to go through the answers to the questions that I've asked you and had a chance to practice the listening exercise, the next thing to think about would be the key learning from the exercise. And you may already know now, in a short statement, what do you want to be known for? What embodies those qualities which make you really proud of what you do, the achievements that you've made, the things perhaps that you hide from other people within the working environment that actually you're more of outside of the office? Things like fun, laughter. What can you bring into being more of yourself at all times? How do you want your colleagues to perceive you? How do you want people outside of your organisation to see you? And the same with your family and friends. And sometimes it works the other way. There's things that we can do within the workplace that often we may struggle with in our personal lives. I've seen and coached people who can be very assertive within a working environment, yet can't apply that own skill of assertion within their personal life. So look both ways where you can use the talents that you have to enrich your performance in all aspects. And how can you communicate your key qualities and messages? How do you start being more of who you are? And that, small things like how you greet people, your email sign-offs, how you interact on a day-to-day basis. What are the things that underpin who you are, and how do you allow yourself to be more of that? So think about how you do communicate. Are you a listener or a talker? Do you prefer to be one-on-one, or do you prefer to be working with groups in a more lively environment? Who are your role models and mentors, and what might that inform you about your own style, or where you're heading, or what you need to allow and integrate? How do you reflect these things in your personal style? And also, where do you find your trusted network? For me, one thing I'm deeply appreciative of is in the year since I've left corporate life and began building my own business, the one thing I know now is that I'm finding the people as clients, as colleagues, as collaborators that resonate with me. They have a much more similar ethos and values, which makes doing business with them a real pleasure. And I think the more we can express who we are on the inside and allow that to shine, the more likely we are to attract those people towards us. And who knows the opportunities that come when you're working with the right teams, you have the right people around you. It just makes life so much easier. So think about, actually, if you're in a workplace environment and some may be a little bit toxic, where do you go to find other people who are more in alignment with your values? And that could be things like discussion groups, through Meetup, through a professional association. Just start to be in those places more, or find the groups of the colleagues internally who, you know, are interested in the things that you're interested in, whether it's a particular project, a discipline, or even recreational clubs, that kind of thing. So just begin to find how you bring more of the things that you love into what you do day to day. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is dealing with fear, false evidence appearing real. How do we deal with fear? Now, the things that are good to think about is what's behind the fear. And quite often it's things which are patterns of thinking that we've fallen into over a period of time. So things like the phrases always, ever, every, never. Or things like that doesn't count because, particularly if somebody is paying you a compliment. That doesn't count because. And women generally, more than men, are more likely to diminish what their achievements are. Or the other, if X happens, Y will surely follow. So predicting, we don't have crystal balls. So thinking about whether it's all or nothing thinking, overgeneralisation, mental filters, discounting positives, fortune telling, magnifying things that are negative, looking at emotional reasoning where we base things on feeling rather than reality, using the word should. Who says? Who says we should do this, we should do that? And these are all things that if you recognise that these are frequent patterns within your communication, these are things that you may want to examine a little bit more deeply. Because usually behind these ideas there is a set of beliefs, or there's a set of almost ideas that have been passed down from other people, be it teachers, be it parents, that are conditioning us into thinking in these ways and not taking the steps forward, allowing fear to hold us back, because actually we've got this disruption in the way that we're thinking. And if our thinking is affected, how we act is affected, our behaviour is affected, which affects how others view us. So one thing that you can do to begin to change, if you've got a particular fear, whether it's I can't ask for a promotion or a pay rise, or I'm not good enough to be doing this new client project, look for evidence in the alternate view. Try and make a list of the positive experiences that you've had. So if your thing is I'm not good enough to do this client project, what you might want to look at is all of the other projects that you've been asked to do, all of the additional things, whether within work or outside of work, that you've been asked to contribute to, who comes to you for advice. If you can make that huge list of things that support evidence of your unique talents. And as I say, going back to the previous slide, be aware of any thinking that creeps in. I'm not saying to suppress it, just be aware if any of these things jump in as you're thinking through the positive evidence. Just hold that, be aware that that is not you talking, it's a thinking distortion. Understand that perception is not always reality. I can remember an experience in my 20s where I did work with somebody who decided to quote to me that particular line, perception is reality. And I thought that really doesn't fit. It was a device that was used for this individual to impose their thinking on other people. Perception is not reality. Reality is reality. So question the feedback of others, particularly when it is subjective and if it lacks objectivity. I've counselled a number of, particularly women in corporate, but also men, in corporate, in the public services where there is a strong performance management culture, which is being used to justify particular policies. Always test, is your line manager feedback consistent with what your peers give you? If it's not something that's offered to you, do seek feedback, not just from your manager, but from the colleagues that work around you, from your customers, from your suppliers. Test what you're being told and understand, because feedback is something, it may be offered to you. It doesn't always have to be accepted, particularly if it is not something that is constructive and supportive. And I'm not saying by that whether positive or negative. Some negative feedback can be constructive because it can make you aware of a blind spot that you're missing in your own behaviour. However, think about how the message is delivered to you and the person who's delivering that message. Are they giving you feedback with love to support your growth and support your future development? Or does it feel different to that? So just always question things for yourself. So be really clear about your unique attributes. Let's go back to what your unique strengths are from the feedback that you gain from others, from going through the questions that we went through earlier, and examine the experiences that helped you develop these soft skills with a thinking partner. As I say, if you've got a mentor, if you've got an accountability partner, or even a trusted colleague that would like to do some personal development work with you, or even a friend outside of work, you know, these are things, these discussions can really help us have the confidence to take strides forward. And these are the conversations where we also start discussing our dreams with others, which is already, you know, something that can be very exciting. And a model to use with this is to look at the situation where you applied these skills, look at the task, look at the action that you took, and look at the result that it gave. And the reason why I'm presenting this STAR model here, this STAR model is often used within interview situations. So my reasoning here is by applying this model to thinking through your unique talents and strengths. If you are able, say you've got 4 or 5 things that you feel are your unique strengths and talents, and for each one of those you can articulate a situation where you used it, the task it was applied to, the action that you took, and the result you gave. That is an incredible storytelling capability which helps you build your personal brand, it means that you can have richer conversations with others. When somebody says, tell me about that project, you can do it in a way which showcases the thing that is your unique talent. So it may be that you worked on a project with a team, and where you particularly shone was in the communications and creating harmony in that team. Being able to describe the ways in which you did that and actually how that benefited the result is incredibly compelling. And if you, like most people, enjoy using the things that you're uniquely talented and have great strength in more than the things you don't enjoy so much, then being able to do that is going to create better opportunities for you. With people, you'll find that you meet people who can help you, and interesting conversations happen in the least expected places that bring opportunity. So what next? So get feedback and be specific about what you want, how you communicate and why, and take the opportunities that are given to you. Be aware of yourself and others, and one of the things that I would say is always gift yourself the time to reflect. Always. Find somebody that you trust as a thinking partner. And I would say with that, it's important to find somebody, if you can, that is at a relatively similar level to you or has similar aspirations and ambitions to you, so that you can encourage each other forward, as well as doing the quiet, appreciative listening. Invest time refining and thinking about your personal brand. And then finally, I would say consider working with a qualified coach. I know that there are many, many well-intentioned people that offer coaching services. I would say be a little bit careful. Make sure that you're working with somebody who's qualified, who's insured, who has experience in the areas in which you may be wanting to advance and develop. That would be the best advice I could give. And